Hey all, this is 012 Boku, back again with another movie review. And no, it's been a few weeks, but yes, I am back. And I am here to give you You Only Live Twice. Or so it seems. From one for your nightmares and one for your dreams. Sorry, singing a little bit of the song there, but yes, you only live twice. Continuing the Bond saga, the ever-growing Bond saga, which recently I have bought them all. And the reason I'm going through them all, because I know I told you my whole thing with new movies and whatnot, is because, I've had them all intermixed, and I've got all new movies, and if I was to do them all out of sequence, it would just be a really hard time to review them for you guys, and also for me to watch them, and it just became a confusing hodgepodge, and I figured with any new movies I have, if I get near them, by the time I see them, cool, awesome, I'll watch them. If not, hey, I'll watch them in sequence when I'm able to reach them. But either way, You Only Live Twice is the next installment of the Bond films. I think, see, Dr. No, From Russia with Love, Goldfinger, Thunderball. Oh, yes. It is the fifth movie in the James Bond series, the fifth one, and one of my favorites again, You Only Live Twice, is a really, really good movie because it gives us James Bond coming back into his role where he has to fake his death. So Sean Connery, being in this role, being as great as ever, has to fake his death to survive because he knows Spectre was after him, and Spectre tries to assassinate him at the beginning of the film, so he has to fake his death and outwit Spectre and survive, which is funny because throughout this film he's running around with Blofeld and the others still believing he's dead, and yet he looks exactly the same. He doesn't really change that much about himself. But Sean Connery, like I said, is back in the role, giving a great performance as he's ever done. Great work, great attitude, great suaveness. And the sad thing is, this was his last performance until they lured him back to do Diamonds Are Forever. And the sad thing is, with this movie, when he got to Japan, he was so big at this time from doing the other four previous Bond films that he had fans everywhere, but no worse was it in Japan. Like in Japan, he was hounded by the Japanese fans. They were always calling him Bond-san. They would never call him Connery. There would be cameramen trying to get pictures of him, follow him around in every daily point of his activity. It got really strenuous for Sean Connery. And then they said in the special features, which are on the back here of the DVD, when you watch, I believe they say it in the audio commentary, and they mention it in the documentary, but he was followed into the, he had some security guards that were with him, and the security guards said they would protect him from the fans, keep the cameras off him, and then when he got outside to get into his car, the security guards actually were plants, and they started turning around and taking pictures of Sean Connery. Sorry, Sean Connery, I almost called you James Bond there too. Oh boy. But they started taking pictures of Sean Connery, and he got mad. He wiped into his car, went to the studio, and at one point when he was at the locations in the studios using the bathroom, there were actually people in the bathroom waiting for him, taking pictures while he's trying to be on the toilet. And, that was the last final straw. The security guards being cameramen plans, and then having pictures of himself while he's in the bathroom. He said he was done doing it after that. He had done enough. He had enough being hounded by press and tourists and everything. So that was the final straw for Sean Connery, which was sad because he really was a good as James Bond. I mean, he is the top James Bond for the reason, and he is a very, very great guy to do the role. And just sad that he had to go out like this. The film also stars, because it's really hard to get the characters in this, but we have, oh yes, Aki, who's played by Akiko Wakabayashi. And Akiko Wakabayashi, who played Aki, was a friend of Bond's. She helped him around Japan everywhere they went. They fought Blofeld's minions together, because Blofeld is the main villain in this one for Spectre, but we'll get to him in a moment. And, she went around, helped him. They were passionately in love with each other in this film. And she was a very great backup for Bond in this movie. And you can tell they really liked each other and really got into one another. And it was just whatever they could do to have each other's backs. And, they were like that throughout this whole film. And then what sucks about Aki is on a night that Bond is supposed to have, quote-unquote, a fake marriage to Kissy Suzuki, Aki gave him a massage, and Aki Aki and Bond had, sex again, and they were sleeping together. And spoiler, this is a spoiler alert for nobody wants to have the movie ruined to them. So if you're seeing this, fast forward it, or don't watch this review, because like I say, it's one of reviews, we give spoilers. So like an assassin who was meant to kill Bond takes a wire and pours like poison down this wire, and what happens is it's like right below Bond, but then Bond moves and Aki gets into his place. So Aki gets the poison in her mouth, which then in turn kills her. Bond finds the assassin, takes out the assassin, but when he tries to go back for Aki, he sees that Aki's dead. And it's really sad that Aki, in a way, sacrificed herself unknowingly to save Bond. So it's like, after a great moment of intimacy between the two, Aki's taken out in such a bad way. So, that was really sad. Then you also have, Tetsuro Tamba, who plays Tiger Tanaka, who is the head of, I guess you could say, the British or MI6 version of the Japanese, who are trying to find out why Bond's there, because they know Bond was on a secret mission and that he had survived his encounter with Blofeld at the beginning of the film, and they were trying to help each other out. And Tiger Tanaka, is very trusting and very honorable of Bond. He shows him the ropes of Japan, actually helps him make the fake marriage so Blofeld doesn't discover him, and also helps change his look, his ways, so he knows about the culture. Tiger Tanaka is just very trustworthy, very honorable man, and is willing to help Bond at every turn. And like, we even get to see a cool moment where Tiger Tanaka shows Bond, their version of a Q's laboratory in Japan, which is very cool. Samurai swords doing weird stuff. Their training acumen, where they get ready to take on fights and, train, ninjas, way of the samurai. So it's really cool seeing all that great scene in the film. And Tiger Tanaka really is just a cool character. You also have, like I mentioned, Kissy Suzuki, who's played by Miyahama, or Miyahama, I guess it would be called. And Miyahama, who played Kissy Suzuki, was in the film sort of in the middle, more towards the end, and she's not featured a lot, but she has her accounts. Like, she helps Bond with the sort of quote-unquote sham marriage that they have to avoid Blofeld, but you can tell they're having fun, getting along with each other, being in each other's company, and that, she's really good, and, they're just having a great time together. And she's also there for Bond. Like, she actually helps Bond out when Bond actually goes into the hollowed out volcano of Blofeld's base, where it's hidden, and you get to see where, he sees it, and he tells Kissy Suzuki, LOL, what a name once again, right, for me and Fleming. But he tells Kissy Suzuki, you know, go tell Tiger Tanaka that we found the base that's here. I'm going to go investigate you, some soldiers. So she does whatever she can to get back to Bond. She actually swims into the, I believe it's an ocean or it's a lake. She's swimming and she's trying to get to Tiger Tanaka, and there's actually men shooting at her, trying to kill her, and she actually dives deeper into the ocean or water to evade the bullets. So it's really cool how she was going to get to Tiger Tanaka at any cost. Let's see. Oh, yes. And you have Osato, who is played by Teru Shimada. And Osato is the Japanese man who I believe owns the Osato Corporation, who actually is a front for Blofeld's schemes in this movie, and he actually works quite closely with Blofeld, and you know, he's a guy who is doing what he can to further his goals while helping the madman that is Blofeld of SPECTRE, and you know, he's quite confident in what he tries to do, and is quite confident that he and others can get rid of Bond. And the thing is, though, when anything goes wrong, Blofeld gets mad and really upset, and he blames Osato. And Osato, you can see, is actually physically scared and mentally scared, it would seem, of Blofeld, which who can blame him? I mean, because he's quivering and shaking in his boots, and Blofeld has all this great power, and Osato is, you know, like, just scared crapless, and, you know, it's like, what would you do in that situation? Ultimately, though, because Bond keeps getting through Osato's schemes, and thus, you know, foiling Blofeld and Osato at the same time, spoiler again, near the end of the film, Blofeld kills Osato by shooting him to make an example out of him, as that's what happens with the price of failure. Oh yes, and there's also Karen Dorr, who plays Helga Brandt, who is actually a agent of Osato, like Osato's secretary, but she also is an agent of SPECTRE, and I think she's number 3 or number 4, if I remember their numbering system, because they still do that throughout this movie, where they're still called by their numbers, like they did in From Russia with Love, and like they also did in Thunderball. But yeah, she's like, I think number 4, or, you know, number 2, or no, number 5, one of the ones, you know, I mean, I forget. But she's still a pretty high number, and, you know, she has this confidence, this air growth that she, you know, is right by Blofeld, and Blofeld, you know, trusts her, and she'll do whatever she can, and she actually, throughout several points in this film, you know, actually tries to, like, convince Bond she's on the side of good. She doesn't want to be with Osato or Blofeld anymore. She just wants to get out, wants to be free. But she uses that to trick Bond, and she tries to kill him several times, like once in a plane. I think there was another, like, compactor scene. She tried to kill Bond, I think, when they were in bed together at another point in time. So Helga Brandt really does some devious, underhanded things. But because she ultimately fails in her plot, Blofeld, spoiler alert, by the way, guys, again, Blofeld actually kills her too, because of her points that she fails. And when she's walking back, like, Blofeld has these piranha fish that he feeds, and on the walkway that's above the pool that the piranha fish are in, Blofeld presses a button, and Helga Brandt falls in to get devoured alive by the piranha. And then, you know, you have Blofeld in the background who looks at Osato, and you just hear him say out in a loud voice, "Kill Bond! Now!" And, like, you know, sort of funny how he said it, but you knew Blofeld meant that he wanted Bond dead. So it was really a, really a big type scene at that moment. There's also Lois Maxwell, who is still back as Miss Moneypenny. Still plays Moneypenny, and she still gives a good, heartwarming nature to the role. And is really, there to support Bond and also M whenever they need it. So she's really good at the job, and her nice little quips. So it's really cool stuff. And oh, no, that was Thunderball, where she had that one really quick scene where she wasn't really in the movie. But yeah, I believe she had a regular office scene in this movie too. So it still worked out in the same sort of way. There also is oh yeah, Q, who once again is played by the great Desmond Llewellyn, where I think they do have a little scene in the beginning. But Q's best part is where he brings up Little Nelly, and that's where you have Desmond Llewellyn bring out this little helicopter that Bond assembles and they put together, and he uses this little helicopter to spy and look for, Blofeld's base, and it's really cool how they do that. And once again, Q, sounding intelligent, and Desmond Llewellyn doing the best that he can with the character, even though he keeps saying throughout several things that the character isn't easy to get down all the science and all the gadgetry, but he does a great job doing it and pinpointing it. And Desmond Llewellyn also makes a point in this film that he's wearing shorts, and he knows he's already, getting pretty old enough in the years, and he really didn't want to wear shorts throughout the film because he didn't want that part of his figure being shown. But Desmond Llewellyn, I think, mentions in the audio commentary that, I was still young enough to where my character, I think, would still do that and all that stuff. So as much as it bugged me, I didn't let it bother me. I still played the character and did what I needed to do. But I think he said if this was one of our later films, down the line, I wouldn't have wanted to do that. So that's where, it was cool hearing that little tidbit from Desmond Llewellyn, how wearing the shorts and the safari outfit in this film bothered him a bit. Now we also have, oh yes, Charles Gray as Henderson. Henderson is a man who is British, who's working with MI6, and who has been doing what he can to help Bond out this time before Bond reaches him to finding out Blofeld's plan. And what he discovers is that, Blofeld was using the Osato Corporation as a front to do whatever he needed to do. They didn't figure out what Blofeld was doing yet, but they were saying how the Osato Corporation was his front for Blofeld to be doing what they could. And, Charles Gray Henderson seemed like a very upfront, straightforward man. He very trustworthy, very applicable, and informative, so it really helped out Bond a lot. Once again, spoiler alert, for those of you who, have not seen it, once again, do not listen. But what sucks is that when Henderson is still in the middle of telling Bond their next step, Henderson actually gets stabbed through one of the paper doors that they use in Japan by a man, and he gets stabbed and killed. And the assassin that kills Henderson tries to go for Bond. Bond takes him out, takes his clothes, pretends that he was stabbed, and the other henchman who was with this assassin takes him, puts him in the back of the car, and he basically breaks into the Osato Corporation to get the information he needs that Henderson was trying to tell him. So it sucks that Henderson had to die, and it sucked that it was like that in a bad way, but it was still led to a very cool fight scene between Sean Connery and, believe it or not, High Chief Peter Maivia, the wrestler. So, The Rock's grandfather, who was one of the henchmen of Blofeld and Osato in this movie, which I thought was very cool. And when you look at it now, he's supposed to be Japanese, but you can sort of tell how he looks like The Rock, and he's got his Samoan ancestry and everything else in there too. So it was really a cool scene. There's also, Sai Chin, I believe it is, who was the Chinese girl who was enticing Bond at the beginning of the movie that causes Bond's assassination. Like, you know, they're making love, talking about sweet things to each other in the film. And what happens is she gets up, she presses a switch on the wall that sends Bond in bed up into the bed, into the wall, and then she lets in two assassins, and they gun apparently Bond down and all that good stuff. So yeah, that was her quick little role in the film. Oh yes, and Bernard Lee is back as M once again, giving Bond his direction and telling him what he needs to do and how it will help England and everything else as a whole to stop Blofeld's plan or to find out what's causing all this stuff. And Bernard Lee, you know, still plays it off to perfection, and it's really nice just seeing him in the role and seeing what he can do with it. So it's really cool. And Bernard Lee just gives another great performance. And then finally, in my opinion, the creme de la creme, you have Blofeld, played greatly by Donald Pleasance. And forgot to mention this too, Charles Gray will become Blofeld as well in Diamonds Are Forever, so that's a little interesting side tidbit. But the other thing is too, is my favorite Blofeld, the top Blofeld, because the three guys who played Blofeld were Donald Pleasance, Telly Savalas, and and Charles Gray. And Charles Gray is my last favorite out of the two, because I really think Donald Pleasance and Telly Savalas gave the role their best stuff in it. And, you know, Donald Pleasance just did what he could. I think they said he only worked on the film for 2 weeks. He only had 2 weeks to work on the picture, because he came in really late in the picture, and other than the voice lines he gave at the beginning and middle of the film. But you could tell that Donald Pleasance gave such a great job to the role. Like, he was really good at what he needed to do. And he originally wasn't the actor they had hired. Something had happened to the original actor, and he had come in at the last moment to take this role. And, you know, he had just given this great performance. And, you know, I don't know what to say about Blofeld in this film. Like, Donald Pleasance has him as this, like, he talks in a low monotone kind of way, but yet you could tell it's intimidating, it's dark, it's scary just how he is. Like Blofeld in this one just seems like he's a manipulative, calculating, you know, cold and dark individual, which is once again what he should be. I mean, because every actor gives, you know, Blofeld something else. And then Donald Pleasance, who I think was the best one, you know, made us believe what we knew in all these other films, that he was a cold, dark, and calculating individual. You know, that even though Blofeld, you know, it looks like he can do a lot, but even though we don't see Blofeld do a lot in this one, like Donald Pleasance's presence, his figure, the way he talked to Bond when they finally met face to face, it just gave off this aura that you did not want to mess with this guy. You did not want to mess with him and impede his progress. So it was just, it was really, really something else. And Donald Pleasance, who had the scar on his eye for Blofeld for this film, we saw how, you know, it happened, and apparently what they used for a makeup application is they put it on his face, and they had to blow dry it to get it to work. And so, like, Donald Pleasance's eye was sort of shutting, and he had to work for that hours on end in that makeup without having an easy access to it, because, you know, it's 1967. 1967, and it's that hard to get all that stuff through. So, you know, it wasn't a pleasant thing that he had to go through, but he did his job and is very fantastic in the role. So, hats off to you, Donald Pleasance, sir, for giving us a great villainous performance and probably being the best Blofeld in the business. And, you know, overall, this is a great movie. You know, it's got pretty good action. It's got really well done story. You know, once again, great music by John Barry. Uh, Great action moments. Seeing Tiger Takagi's Q Lab in a way was very awesome. The little Nelly scene where Bond is flying around on the little type helicopter that actually existed was really cool. And now he was taking on these little war helicopters of Blofeld and taking him down and surveying the whole scene. You know, that was a really cool, awesome scene to have in the movie. You know, the trust that he and Tiger Takagi had was very nice. The way that Blofeld's presence was carried out was just really good. And Lewis Gilbert, the man who directed, actually did a very nice job. And there was actually, you know, a really nice direction in this movie. And the shootout that Lewis Gilbert created for this movie was nicely well done. You know, it was a great shootout, really cool moment where there was a lot of action, a lot of explosions going on, and people had to like zip line down into the volcano to stop Blofeld and his action from like stealing. I think they were stealing rockets, and don't know exactly what they were doing, but he was trying to incite war between Russia, Japan, United States, like a couple other countries. Like he wanted a global massive war on the scale to improve his stock or whatever he was doing. And, you know, it was just a great battle scene. And believe it or not, this film was written by, not by Richard Maybaum. Richard Maybaum and this one had nothing to do with the writing. Like, it was written by, believe it or not, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and James and the Giant Peach writer, Roald Dahl. Roald Dahl wrote for this movie. And that blew my mind. I had no idea Roald Dahl wrote for this movie. They talked about it like they couldn't believe it, but yet he wrote a great screenplay for one of the best Bond films. Because once again, You Only Live Twice is one of my favorites because, you know, we finally get to see Blofeld in the flesh, great performance, and it's a great way of unraveling the whole movie. So You Only Live Twice is just a great movie that meshed everything together overall. And there really is, you know, nothing that could be said about it more. And, you know, Harry Saltzman and Albert R. Broccoli really had another great film on their hands. And it just sucks that Sean Connery did not want to stay longer, but yet I understand what he went through. And it sucks that he did not want to stay on it, you know, to each their own. And, you know, if you were hounded by that, you could probably have a way of where you didn't want to do the role that much anyway either, because people hounded you about a character and, you know, like, didn't let you live your life. That would be pretty dang frustrating, I would think. But other than that, you know, great film overall. Great stuff, really enjoyable, entertaining. It's almost at 2 hours, hour 57 minutes, so almost at 2 hours, but yet, once again, another just overall good movie. And I give it a, yeah, I believe I give it a 9 out of 10. Solid 9 out of 10 again, because it was just, it had a lot of good stuff to it, and it was a really great movie. So, you know, let me know what you guys think. What do you guys think of You Only Live Twice? You know, do you like this movie? Do you think it was the greatest, you know, or like one of the greatest, I should say? Because I'll tell you guys right now, my top favorites are this movie, The Man with the Golden Gun, this movie, The Man with the Golden Gun, and GoldenEye. I've gone through a lot of the others. Oh, and I forgot to, because we'll get to it for next time, or one of the times when I get to it. But On Her Majesty's Secret Service is definitely one of my favorites now too. It's definitely my top favorite faves. So there's that too. But we'll get to that another time when we get to the next Bond film. But you know, like, once again, what were your thoughts on this? So just leave a comment if you want. Let me know what you think. And this is 012 Boku coming at you with another movie review. And I will see you guys next time, okay? Bye-bye.